Om Shanti. 10th June 2019, Monday. Today's slogan: those who use the elevated power of transformation for themselves and others are true karma yogis. Those who use the elevated power of transformation for themselves and others are true karma yogis. So true karma yogis are those who are using the power of transformation for themselves and others, rather than using the verb form. Baba has used the noun form. In the world they talk that I have to transform myself. He should transform himself. I have to make planning of transforming myself. But Baba says, use the power of transformation. As if it is some power which you have to invoke, and the power will come, and then power will do the work. It's not that I have to transform, rather invoke the powers and all powers are with you. So this is entirely a new concept, as if just as the mythological scriptures talk of different weapons which the warrior invokes and the weapon comes. For example, all those arrow of Brahma, Brahmastra, and many others like that. They invoke that discus and the discus comes. They invoke that arrow and that arrow comes. So, in the similar manner, a person is there and he is trying to change himself and he has tried everything and nothing has worked. Rather than giving up and getting depressed, Baba is saying to use the power of transformation as if it is some power. So take that power from Baba and he will help you change some deep-rooted sanskar, a weakness which is not going in spite of doing everything. Tell of that weakness to the Father. In today's Sakar Murli, Baba said, keep the chart of your values, of your divine virtues. See what are my imperfections, what are my weaknesses, and do not hide them from the Father, and tell the Father that I have these weaknesses. If you hide, that will increase. So invoke this new power as if it's a weapon, as if it's an arrow. So invoke, O power of transformation, come. And the power of transformation will descend. And the power of transformation will incarnate and take the corporeal form, and it will do the miracle. So, invoking the power of transformation. And Baba said, true karma yogis are those who have this power of transformation, and with that transformation they not only change themselves, but they help others also to change. But the basic work has to be done on oneself, not on others. So, changing oneself, and what all things are needed for changing oneself, and what all things are needed in order to transform oneself. Even before attention. Even before, okay. The first thing which is needed for power of transformation is deep realization. Deep realization. A shock is needed that this is not as per Srimad. and still I am continuing it. Unless and until that realization comes, one cannot change. So the first thing which is needed is the realization within. A deep realization. But realization is not so easy. For realization one has to do so many things. Sometimes changing the place. For realization one has to undergo Gyan Bhatti. Keep on listening new things. Keep on listening classes. Keep on listening Murli. And then some point of time you might get that realization that something is wrong. If one keeps away from knowledge, there is no realization. That's why in today's Sakar Murli Baba said, God, the world almighty authority, is teaching you and you remain absent. Exclamation mark. Who is teaching you? If he is teaching, how much regard you should have for his studies. So realization comes with Gyan. Realization comes with understanding. So the deeper the realization, then there would be a desire to change, to transform. Otherwise, why should one change? One is happy leading one's life as it is. Continue whatever you are doing. Continue doing the same lifestyle, the same relationships, the same attitude, the same thinking process, the same pace of self-progress, the same service. There won't be any change unless and until there is some deep realization that something more I need to add to my purusharth, to my efforts, which I am not doing. So a deep realization is sometimes needed. When Arvind Ghosh, he was a very active revolutionary leader who was writing prolific things against British, full of contempt, full of blame as it is. And that's why when Khudiram Bose was killed, or Jatin Das or somebody was killed, he was involved. And then he was put behind the bars. Now, Arvind Ghosh, he was a young man, extremely revolutionary in concepts, against the principle of ahimsa, wanting to get freedom by struggle, by fighting, by avenging. So he was put in prison. So he was in prison for about 1 year. But when he came out of prison, he was an entirely different man. He was not the same person. Here he underwent period of silence. Here he underwent period of solitude. And when he came out, he was entirely different. He decided the life of sannyas. He decided the life of solitary refinement. And he left everything, all his prolific writings, all his hate speeches and everything. And he went to Pondicherry and opened the ashram. And rest of the life is entirely different. So what he was before and what he was afterwards, what happened in that prison, what happened in that confinement, what happened in that, and he writes how difficult situations were there, how inhuman treatment was meted out to all the inmates of the prison, how he was locked up in a dark room where there was hardly even a ray of light. And in that dark room, he had total transformation. And he mentions that he saw Swami Vivekananda for 12 consecutive days coming in front of him every day. And he got transformed. So, a man who is born in Bengal, this person who was revolutionary, it transformed into a monk, got transformed into a sannyasin, got transformed into a spiritual man. Because when he came out, he was no more interested in political struggle. He was no more interested in fighting against British. He decided to go to Pondicherry. Somehow he reached, and there he opened the ashram and started his new life. So what happened? It is some deep realization that leads to transformation. Without realization there is no transformation. So for realization, again two things as I said, solitude and silence is needed. The deeper the silence, the greater would be the realization. The greater the solitude, the deeper would be the realization. Because here you get the time to think, to reflect, to contemplate, to cogitate, to look back, to introspect, to retrospect, to understand life as deeply as possible. So realization. Second thing in the power of transformation is sankalp, thought. Once you realize and then you decide that I have to do this. It could be anything. For example, somebody realizes that my way of going to sleep is wrong. Every person has got a particular way of going to sleep. They will spend some time on mobile, or they will spend some time on social media and then go to sleep. I'm talking of Brahmins. In today's Sakar Murli, Baba said, you are not human beings, you are Brahmins. You are different from the world. You are not Manushya, you are Brahmins. So, how do I go to sleep? What transformation I can bring? So deep realization is needed. And for that, as I said, Gyan is needed for transformation. Or some heavenly intervention, that is different. That may not come always. Some intervention from above. Baba should intervene himself. Baba said in today's Murli, Baba sees the weaknesses of children and helps them to remove them. He sees the weaknesses. This child has got this weakness, and this is something which is causing an obstruction in his path. So Baba intervenes. That is known as divine intervention. The divine providence provides the divine intervention. So, sankalp, a thought. But thought is just a seed, and seed needs water, seed needs sun rays, seed needs nurturing, seed needs care, nurture or care, seed needs what else? Soil, seed needs quality soil, seed needs water, sun rays, fertilizer, seed needs. Recently there was a Murli, no? Thought is a seed, and water is needed, and sun rays are needed. Which sun rays? Which sun rays? Checking and attention. Water of attention and sun rays of checking are needed, and the soil is needed. Soil is the subconscious mind. And fertilizer is needed. And which is the fertilizer? Gyan, points. And what care? Repetition of that same sankalp many times. So that can act as a nurturing or care of that sankalp. So a small, very strong, powerful sankalp is needed for transformation, without which one cannot. So sankalp. Then third thing which is needed for transformation is planning. It's not that somebody gets successful without planning. You always need a proper plan. One has to make a blueprint. This is how I have to do. A planning is needed. Mental planning. There's a book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. In that 7 habit, the third habit is this: making blueprint. Making a blueprint means a plan, a rough planning is needed. This is how I am going to do this. And then fourth, implementation of that plan. You have to implement that plan. Realization has come. Now a sankalp has risen. And then planning is done. Now try to implement that plan and make some goal, small goal, like 3 days I will do this. 3 days I will go to sleep in this manner. 3 days I will switch off my mobile half an hour before going to sleep. If there is no emergency at night. If you have an emergency, that is a different thing. We have to keep it on all the night, because throughout the night emergencies keep on coming. And if one emergency comes, we stay awake the whole night. So we have to keep the mobile. There would be some exceptions, but I think rest of the others who are here, they can keep it safe, switch off very safely. So you can keep it off, or make it silent, or vibrate, so that you can be away from digital distraction at least half an hour before going to sleep. So now this is a thought. Now for this is a simple thing, but for coming to this realization you need at least 10 different classes, or you need 10 hours of silence. For a very small change, so much effort is needed. People come for bhatti in Madhuban. It's not that they do not know Amrit Vela, and they know everything. But out of the bhatti, they take leave from their colleges, offices, and they come to bhatti. Now what is the ultimate result of that bhatti? After 4 days, they are in Gyan for 20 days, 3 days bhatti, and now they realize that I should be regular in Amrit Vela. You have to pay price. You have to take leave from office to make arrangements for tickets for coming to Madhuban. And then you listen to all the classes sitting there. And what you realize? That I should be regular in Amrit Vela, which you already know. So knowledge is there, but there is no realization. Knowledge is there, but there is no practicability. So knowledge is there, but what is needed is something else. A deep realization. So you have to pay to have realization. You cannot get realization free of cost. You have to pay a lot. If they do like that, why can't I do the same here? Why it is that only when there is an official bhatti for everyone that I do that? Is not every day a bhatti, every day a retreat, every day a realization retreat. So realize. Then even if realization has come and sankalp is done, this is not enough. So many things. That's why self-transformation is the biggest thing in life. We see people don't change. Their natures don't change 60 years, 20 years. They remain the same. Natures don't change so easily. Baba said in today's Sakar Murli, tell your internal disease to Baba, not your external disease. Don't tell the diseases of your body. I have body ache, diabetes, hypertension and all this. Baba is not interested in all this. Go to the Lokik doctor, they will take care of it. He is not interested. Baba said, don't tell me your bodily disease. Tell me your internal disease. I will help you. internal diseases of vices, of desires, of passions. So sankalp, and then planning, and then implementation. Now after implementation, fifth, you have implemented your plan for 3 days. And now analyze, reanalyze, self-analyze, checking, see, look back, and how were these 3 days? How were my last 3 months and these 3 days? What is the difference? I was happy or non-happy? What is my realization? This is the 3 months I have been doing something, and now I have stopped that doing and I have done something else. This is the 3 months I have been eating something, now last 3 days I have stopped eating that and I decided a different diet. See what happens. This is a relationship which I am following since last 3 months. Now I have stopped that relationship and see what is the result. I am no more in touch with that person who probably is the cause of my disturbance. I have decided total digital detachment. And see what happens. So, this is known as Sinha Avalokan. The Sinha, the lion looks back like that. That is known as looking back. That is known as retrospection. That's why the word has come, Sinha Avalokan. You look back and see yourself. Retrospection. So the fifth step is checking, retrospection. Now, on checking you find that nothing has worked. You find that in 3 days, I have done it for 2 days, but 1 day I failed. But that doesn't mean that you should accept defeat. Rise up again and start doing it again. It's not that there is a one failure and you stop doing it. For example, there was one marine biologist. He took one tank. This is the tank of water. And there was a shark, fish. And there were small fish. And the shark would eat the small fish. This is an experiment he did. The shark fish was very happy. The shark was very happy because it would eat the small fish. But now what he did? He placed a plastic fiber in between. The shark is on this side and the other small fish are on this side. Every time the shark would come to eat the small fish, it would get hit by the fiber. So it would try many times, but was not successful. So then after 1 hour it would give up. Now this experiment was repeated over a period of weeks together, maybe about a dozen times. Now, after a dozen times, and every time the shark would hit and get exhausted because it is hungry and it wants to eat the little fish, the delicious fish which are on this side. Now, the marine biologist, he took out the fiber after many weeks. Now the shark is no more interested in eating those fish, even though they are there, but it is not eating. Why? Not habit. Because it knows that there is a barrier. And it doesn't want to cross that barrier because it had tried a lot. It had tried hard and it failed multiple times. So now I should try again. It is foolishness. But now the barrier has been removed. Such mental barriers there is in our minds. So there is a mental barrier. We have tried 10 times and we have failed 9 times. Now I don't want to try because it is not my cup of tea. Why should I try? I have tried so much, but nothing works. Disgruntled, dissatisfied, discontented. Total loss of enthusiasm, total loss of courage. There's a word in English, diffident, opposite of confident. Confident means who can do things. Diffident means who is timid, coward, who doesn't want to do, or who is not who doesn't have faith in himself that I can do this. He is totally diffident. So confidence had turned into diffidence. But know that these are mental blockages, mental barriers. No matter how hard we have tried and we have failed, try once more. Try once more. This electricity, how many times Edison tried? For 3 months he was trying and trying and trying. Every time using different filament for bulb, and he failed. His friend said, "What are you doing? Unnecessary, wasting your time." Probably more than 1,000 times he tried. But he said that I know 1,000 ways of wrong methods of not doing it, of wrong methods of doing that thing. So don't give up, no matter how many times. And this Brahmin life, multiple times one will give up, multiple times one will fail. This is the game. You fail, you win. It's not that every time you will win. Taking the tilak that I am a Vijayi soul, that doesn't mean that every time you will win. There would be failure, there would be success. There would be failure, success, failure, success, failure, success, failure, success, failure, success. Ascending, falling down, ascending, falling down. But don't give up. Keep on trying, trying, trying. So this is the path of transformation. Realization, sankalp, planning, implementation, and checking or reanalysis. This is how you transform yourself and transform others. Baba says, use this power of realization. Om Shanti.